Hello, and welcome back to GoldStockTrades.com. Today we have a special guest with us, Mark Saxon, CEO of Tasman Metals. Tasman can be traded on the New York Stock Exchange Amex as TAS. Thanks, Mark, for being here with us.
Thanks so much, Jeb. No, it's been a big day for us, obviously.
Yeah, it has been, and we saw the news that was released. Can you tell us some of the key points that make the Norra Karr project stand out amongst your peers?
Sure, Jeb. We had the PEA out today, the preliminary economic assessment, which is sort of the first independent review, I guess, of the economics surrounding the Norra Karr project. And really, we've come a long way from being a project we essentially discovered 2 years ago to where we are today. Norra Karr has a number of key features that you can see in the PEA that come through strongly, and really the unique situation in Europe, the great infrastructure are two things that really act in our favour. First of all, the infrastructure keeps our capital costs very, very low relative to our peers. We have roads, we have rail, we have ports, we have power essentially on site there at Norra Karr. We have skilled people living in the region that know the mining industry. So we don't need to set up a big camp. We don't need to bring people in. We don't need to do all that extra infrastructure that a mine site requires. That's all in place for us. So therefore, you can see relative to our peers, our startup cost, our capital cost is really quite modest. We can also see it's a very major project. We have in that PEA study the option there of 20 or 40-year mine lives. So we can be producing an awful large proportion of Europe's needs for rare earth metals for 40 years, which is pretty amazing for that project. And really, at the end of 40 years, there's still a big resource left, and we can continue after that. Obviously, as we go ahead, we'll look at accelerating the mining rate, and if the market's there, we can certainly do that. But that's certainly our hope as we go forward. So another feature, Jeb, of the Norra Karr project is it's unusually rich in dysprosium. So we're seeing 50% of our revenue is coming from dysprosium, which is unusually high for any of these rare earth projects. The nice thing about dysprosium is it's got really good fundamentals, it's got really good drivers, and anytime you see rare earth mentioned in the press, then dysprosium is one that is being mentioned as being in short supply. There's lots of discussion about whether dysprosium is a metal for the future or if it's in too short supply, but all we can say is that throughout Europe, most of the questions that we get about the Norra Karr project have to do with dysprosium and the future supply of dysprosium. So we're sitting in a great position there. At the moment, dysprosium is priced at about $1,500 per kilogram. In our PEA, we've been using $520 per kilogram. So we've left a lot of room there for the increase in price as the project develops. We'll also be a major producer of terbium and yttrium. Again, really good metals to be in, good growth metals for phosphors. And, we see a lot of interest in those metals as well.
So, Mark, what are some of your goals in 2012 to advance the project forward?
Yeah, as we go forward now, Jeb, our next step is what we're calling a trade-off study. So the trade-off study looks at the various options we have around the mine site there, and looking at of the options we've identified, which is the most likely. We'll then take those options through into our pre-feasibility study. So at the moment, we're talking to key partners to take us ahead into the pre-feasibility. That pre-feasibility study will start, I guess, around the middle of the year, and that will run for sort of 9 months after that. And that will do the really robust engineering that comes around this project. So that'll be the really major next step for us, and do the site design, do the process engineering. As part of that process, we'll run a mini pilot plant, first of all, and then a full-size pilot plant. And that will take our metallurgical research from bench scale into full-scale operation, so that we can really test how that goes as we scale up.
Mark, we recently saw a major acquisition, Molycorp taking over Neo Materials. How do you see Tasman fitting into that picture? Do you see greater interest in the critical rare earth projects going forward?
Yeah, certainly. The merger there between Molycorp and Neo was a sensible merger for both companies. It brings together a large light rare earth project with the technology that Neo Material brings, and so it allows both of them to deliver on their milestones, I think, a lot more readily. The part of that puzzle that's still missing, obviously, is the heavy rare earth contribution, and so that's where Tasman fits into the story, I suppose. We don't compete directly with Molycorp in terms of the metals that they produce. We produce another suite of metals. But, there's opportunities there for Tasman to just sell into what Neo Materials and Molycorp is doing. But at the moment, there's lots and lots of interest in the sector about connecting explorers and producers like ourselves with the end users that are using these metals. The end users just want to stop talking about security of supply issues for rare earth metals. They just want to solve the problem, solve it now, and not have to talk about it in the future. And so there's a great opportunity for Tasman and our competitors to be able to form those strategic partnerships and allow those consumers to lock in prices and supply of rare earths for a long time to come.
Well, thanks, Mark, for taking time out on this busy day to speak with us.
No problem, Jim. Always happy to.